Hello, sunshine, and welcome back to the Gold Biz Podcast with me, your host, Rachel Traxler. Today, I have with me Lele, and she is going to talk all about shooting wedding details and finding an editorial style in shooting. And she is the absolute pro in both of these things combined. I am really excited for this conversation with her. We're going to be talking about key elements and techniques that photographers should keep in mind when shooting your wedding details and how to just ensure that they're standing out and they're being captured effectively, and also in a way that's telling a story, and also in a way that's editorial as well. I just love Lele's perspective on this. So grab your notepad and let's dive in. All right, Lele. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I'm so excited to have you on.
Thank you, Rachel. I'm excited to be here.
Yay. Well, I'm excited to talk to you about just your photography style, kind of how you found it in like the editorial style space, and maybe talk about what shooting wedding details looks like on a wedding day and how we can kind of stay creative around it. And let's just start though with kind of your style. How did you develop your specific style and technique and decide that editorial was the direction that you wanted to go with your style?
So, when I started shooting weddings, I thought about what I wanted to capture. And so that's how I really entered the business. I didn't want to start shooting DIY weddings and, lower budget,
Mm-hmm.
because that's not what I was interested in shooting. It was pretty much like I wanted to shoot editorial because that's what lit me up. That's what made me excited
Yeah.
to go and capture an editorial. Like I've shot fashion before and been in that industry, and so editorial really did just that was what lit me up, and I wanted to arrive at a wedding and be like, I would shoot this for free. It looks so it looks so amazing. Like, of
Yeah.
course the day is so gorgeous, and it's such a special thing to be a part of. But I also, because it's such a long day, I wanted to to be lit up by what I was actually capturing, apart from just the emotion, so
Yeah.
the aesthetic of it all.
Yeah.
And and, and I think being an artist as well as a business person, but an artist, I love that people can hire me because they love that I love the details as much as they do.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
if they don't, if they're not interested in details, I do refer them to other people and say, like, this is my expertise, and so, this is how I capture a day. If you're more interested in like the guests and the party time, maybe
Mhm.
this person is more suited to your style. So that's really what led me to go, okay, I want to shoot weddings that love details and couples that really appreciate curating all that together.
Yeah.
And that's how I got into that.
That is so cool. And I find it so fascinating that we all are kind of pulled and called to certain aspects of weddings and what we like
Mhm.
about it. And like you said, I can tell you're very much so drawn to the art of it and capturing those details. And what I like the emotion and the people and all of that stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love the details, but I prioritize the people and all that over the details. So I think that that's
Mhm.
just so cool. I find it so fascinating that we are all pulled to and like gravitate towards different things. And I just think I love getting inside other people's heads to like, why are you drawn to that? And obviously that's just what you excel at. You're really good about that. But you're also really good at storytelling. And it probably is through those details. I know that storytelling can very much be done through emotions as well. But you do such a good job through storytelling with the details. Can you kind of speak into that and your thought process behind that and how you focus on storytelling while still maintaining like just the details and stuff too?
So I think because the details of my couple's day, it's such a big part of them. They have pulled together pieces and the styling and their details because it's a reflection of them. So that helps with the storytelling, because it's not just a random, and they choose even like the Airbnb or or a family home, and a certain room in the family home for a reason. And I this is how I talk them through it. It really helps my storytelling on the day, because I say, if you're going to, get ready in your family home, then make sure that it's clean and tidy, and has nice light. And so they'll know that and then go, okay, we'll tidy up. But there's a reason we chose to get ready in the family home because it means something. And I will capture details there, as in family, like photos growing up and things that will start the storytelling. I really start the story as soon as I get there and create those
Mm.
establishing shots. And I think about it as if I was building a wedding album for them, even if they haven't ordered one. And so that helps with that story and
Mm.
bringing in the elements of their personalities and details. It also, yeah, it just all goes together because it's what is happening on the day. And this is where people are like, I love this wedding. Can you capture my wedding like that? Yes, it's like has my style on it, but no day can be the same because what you choose
Mhm.
as a couple will be completely different and how you react on the day, and it is completely unique, which is makes it exciting
Yeah.
for us because one day, each day is never the same.
Right, right. That's what makes it enjoyable. But I find that so fascinating too that I'm going to kind of circle back to what you were saying is that you really walk your clients through what those details could look like and the way you think too is you are very seemingly detail oriented where probably your clients are a little
Hmm.
bit too in a sense that they are like that. How do you guys work together in the terms of the communication and the workflow that you are providing your clients to ensure that the day is maximized to their full potential in getting, all the details and all
And
of that stuff.
I guess it starts even in the marketing phase when I'm just getting people used to who I am on social media. I will
Mm.
show the details.
Yep.
I would talk about like, those different elements. And it means even like the shoes, because it means like it's, I guess, a superficial element of the day. But this is when else can someone really go, I'm going to buy a pair of Jimmy shoes and and for the man, like maybe a beautiful watch. I'm doing it today because it's my
Mhm.
wedding day and it's special. And so of course I go and capture those things because it's a really special moment in their life that when else can you splash out on these things and just do that. And so that tells the client, okay, she is
Yes.
interested in those details and she will capture those details for me because I am also that way inclined. A lot of my clients, they're designers, architects, they might be lawyers, doctors, or dentists, but they love culture, they love fashion, they love style. So they appreciate those details. So knowing they've hired someone who appreciates those details too makes sense to them. And then before we book, I talk them through how I shoot, which is very like relaxed and natural, and I would tell the story of their day. I don't mention heaps about details then, but I do ask about what styling inspiration do you have, and do you know what outfits you're going to wear? So they already know, okay, she's detail orientated. And then once they book, I send them through a wedding guide that will talk them through
Mm.
their whole day and about getting ready and what locations, why it makes a difference to not get ready at your you know, dark family home that's cluttered with stuff just because it's convenient. It's not going to look that aesthetic. And it's fine if that's what they choose to. And so
Mm.
talk through each of those things, getting ready, what details should you have when it comes to the reception, what elements you could include. So it gets those thoughts going. And then a lot of my clients do have stylists for their day. So it's easier for them to say, I love this mood board, and go and execute that in terms of like the wedding flowers and the table settings and things. So and I'm at the moment sort of moving from a premium market into like the lower luxury, and it's interesting. Details matter more the more luxury you get.
Yep. I have experienced that a couple times myself with as you're tapping into even like that next level. So congrats on that. But I think that's so cool. So what I'm hearing you say is you're almost training your clients in the marketing phase to know and expect that of you, but then also in the communication that you have with them, asking them and prompting them questions that they may have not thought about yet and being like, oh, okay, yeah, I do need to think about this, and almost forcing them to be like, oh, I probably do need these shoes because she's going to do this type of, you know, photo with this. And so I do need to have that.
There's never any pressure for sometimes people are like, "Oh, Lay," or they go, "Lay, I got a pair of Jimmy Choos." I'm like, "Yay, that's so exciting." But I never want people to feel pressure that I couldn't afford them. My marketing, I guess this is what we do in with the marketing of like what I choose to put out on social media. It is not only to attract my clients, it's also to repel the clients that are like, why would I buy a pair of Jimmy Choos? I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, I'll wear thongs or flip flops. What do you call it? Flip flops. I'll just wear a pair of flip flops like once we get to the party time. I don't care about the shoes. So then they know, all right, she's not the photographer for me. But then the clients that are like, I love that she captures the fashion details in that way. I love that she captures the flowers. And if they've spent, $50,000 on flowers, they want to make sure that their photographer appreciates that enough to capture it. Or not even appreciates it, just is going to capture it because the photos are what we have at the end of the day. And if
Right.
I'm like, I don't really care about flowers, I
Yeah.
don't really care
Yeah.
about
That makes
the
sense.
shoes, I might even forget to capture it for you, then yeah, it is.
Not aligned with what they're wanting. Yeah. Yeah. And that's really cool too. And even just speaking into like details and all that stuff, like what are some like key elements of ways that you're ensuring to capture those detail shots? Not even just, yes, capturing the lay flat and capturing the shoes and the dress and all that stuff, but just like details throughout the entire day. Like I know you were saying that you view it in the sense of that you're laying out a wedding album for them and you're creating a wedding album. But is there a certain way that you're approaching the day to tell the story while capturing details? Like what's going to give us like a sneak peek, what's going on in your thought process as you're approaching that?
I set out a really organized timeline so I know that I have enough time
Okay.
to capture all the elements that I want to capture. And if styling means a lot to them, then sometimes I'll bring on a styling photographer just to come for 2 hours to capture that because I'll be capturing ceremony, family photos, cocktail hour, and won't have enough time to run up to the reception and capture that with enough detail for them. So those sort of things. But then if I don't need to hire a second
Right.
photographer, I will make sure there's enough time that I don't just have 5 minutes, doors open, 5 minutes to capture details in the reception area before guests flood in. So it's really setting that out to go, okay, if you want details captured, then you'll need a second photographer, or we'll need to push back your couple portraits until a little bit later. Is that okay for you to step out during reception for a bit longer? So it's communicating with them, making sure that I have enough time and I'm not stressed. And this is what's taken it takes tweaking all the time. It's like, oh, there wasn't enough time for this time, such as capturing ceremony details because I was capturing the getting ready in the morning and there was too much driving time. What do we need to do? I was trying to squeeze it all into 10 hours, but really I should have said it's going to be too rushed. Let's do 10 and a half hours. So it's that preparation. So I know exactly, okay, I have half an hour to
Mm.
capture the
Yeah.
details. I have 45 minutes with the groom getting ready, an hour and a half with the bride getting ready. And it's all sort of a formula now that I just tell them this is my time and this is what I need. And if you want it any shorter, that is fine, but it's going to
Yeah.
compromise your photography.
It's like prepping and allowing that
Mm-hmm.
space for that to happen and for that creative space to allow it. So that's really cool. That's good to know too, the timeline and stuff. And even just as you're getting creative with the detail shots, what are some ways that you approach it with adding in some personalization of the day, like adding like personalized touches to the detail photos?
As in how I would shoot it myself.
Yeah, so like adding personal elements from the day to like detail photos
Hmm.
instead of just like here's a picture of like some shoes. Like how are you creating it for these clients that's storytelling and customized and personalized to them as every wedding day is different?
Having the shoes shot on location. Like I do know that in the US and in luxury market, people often get sent the details in advance of the day, and they shoot it because they can take, like, the lay flats, they can take a while. For me, I'm reasonably quick. Like I could do it in 5 minutes. I like to take
Yeah.
20, but I could do it in 5. But I like doing it on the day because it means that there's the context around what I am shooting, even including the weather on the day. If I'm shooting the day before in my home on a marble background and it's the sun shining, and then the next day it's raining, grey, overcast, and there's no marble in the place that they're getting ready, say a pair of shoes or something, or the invitations, it sort of doesn't really, it's not in context. Even the location is out of context. So this is where, yeah, shooting it all
Yeah.
on the day, the weather, taking the weather into consideration as well, with that is the light, so the light's consistent. And then I think just because it is in context, even like a close up of the flower at a reception venue, it could be anywhere, but because it's their day and the colors they chose, it is all consistent within the storytelling. Even using, so I won't bring in my own background. This could change at some point, but at the moment I don't bring in my own background for my lay flats. If I need, I will just look around for the available light, and then usually if there's no sort of great backdrop or a white bed linen, I'll put down the veil and lay everything on there. And so it's still in context because it's their veil that they're going to wear that day, not just like a random shawl that I found brought from home, you know? So it, yeah.
I've had, oh yeah. And I would say I've
Mm.
had to do that before too, like details on a different day. I just don't like it. Like I like to make it, it's their day and it's, it's done on their day. So I totally agree with you on that. And I love that. What is your kind of like creative approach for like lay flats? So say you have like the lay flat, the florals, the details, the shoes, all that stuff. What is your first approach, and how you said you could do it in 5 minutes, you like 20, but if you were going to do it in 5 minutes, can you walk us through your process of what that looks like? I'm interrupting my own episode to give you a quick glimpse into my signature coaching program created for established photographers wanting to double to quadruple their prices, book their highest package, and bring in inquiries consistently. This is my high level container of go-to photographers who are making huge waves in the industry. And the biggest difference in this program is that we get a full 12 months together for deep dive transformation, weekly coaching call support, 4 coaches in the program to deep dive into specific topics, and a content retreat, all included in one program. And I always say, if you can book one extra wedding from your year in the program together, you're going to see your ROI. And it's just the weekly norm wins for my students. So I'm fully confident that you're going to be able to do that and way, way more. And this is an application, phone call, and acceptance process only type of program. So if you are curious if this is the right next steps for you to just blow up your business this year, you can fill out the application at racheltraxler.com/apply or get the link in the show notes. I'll be in touch shortly after you fill it out so that we can talk through together if this is the right fit for you. I'm very honest with people and I want this to be a great fit for everyone involved. That's just my heart behind the way I do this process. And I also think that's why my students just see so much success in this program. So don't just be an information consumption overload this year. I want you to be an action taker and start implementing change into your business. So again, if this feels aligned to you, fill out the application at racheltraxler.com/apply to apply for my Passion to Profit coaching program.
So it really just takes placing everything down. I put everything into the scene. So this might be invitations, and this is what I'll ask for. Prep the client earlier, the couple earlier, to say, this is what you need to bring on, to have for me ready on your day. And I came into the issue early on and would say, oh, where's your invitations? Oh, we didn't bring them. Did we need to? I was like, damn it, I saw them on Instagram. They were really nice invitations. Like, that's
Yeah.
annoying. But that came down to my communication because I wasn't
Yep.
clear, didn't remind them. For
Yep.
them, it's like that was sent ages ago. Why would they have it on their wedding day? So
Yep.
it's really reminding them these are all the pieces that you could include. And they're like, oh, we don't have a perfume. This is what I normally wear. Don't have to go and buy a new perfume just because it's, you place here what's meaningful to you. So I'll gather all those pieces and put them all in the scene. And I'm finding less is more for me now. So I will then take a photo, move, take one piece out, take another photo, take one piece out, take another photo. And so now I'm finding I'm doing a lot of, they're probably taking me a shorter amount of time because I'm shooting the shoes on the veil. And then I remove that, move to maybe the veil or put then the perfume, then do the scene of the invitations, then do the scene of the jewelry. And I do find jewelry is really hard because it's so petite. So
Mm-hmm.
I will often just get the bride to be putting on the jewelry and shoot the details like that, because having the ring trying to perch in the flower, for one, I think it looks too contrived and I'm not such a fan of that shot. It's also really hard to capture the details of it. So her putting on the ring or putting on her, this is her engagement ring, having it on her fingers while she's sort of, touching her fingers, maybe it shows like a bit of nerves, like it shows that sort of emotion coming through just of her hands. So that's how I do that. Sometimes the cluttered scene works really well, but sometimes simplified is better. I
Mm-hmm.
also like with the groom, especially, I will sort of like almost throw down the pieces. It's like lay down the suit on the bed, place like loosely throw the shoes next to him. So it's not too perfect. I think a lay flat can look really good if it's really perfectly lined up. It can also look really good if it's a bit more messy. And that's where the a really lined up pieces that needs time. And so if I sort of can just throw it out almost like, here are all my details ready to go, I'm going to pick them up as I put them on, that works easier and is quicker and looks a bit, I guess, cooler. Almost like I take a lot of inspiration from fashion magazines. If I do run out of, if I'm like, nothing's working for me, I have a folder on my phone that I can just go through. Oh, here's a perfume ad. Oh, they placed that with the flowers. Okay, that's what I could do. And so it gives me inspiration to simple is often better. Yeah, take inspiration from the fashion magazines, which often my clients are referencing anyway, because that's
Yep.
the type of client they are.
They're drawn to that anyways. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like finding that inspiration from them, but also from aspects that they would probably be interested in as well, like
Mm-hmm.
their style boards and what interests them. That's really cool. And yeah, just giving good insight in your process behind that too. How do you stay creative with not feeling like, oh, I'm just going to lay this down the same way? And is the client going to like this? Is it going to be creative enough for them? Like, how do you stay creative when it comes to shooting details on a day?
I'm not too hard on myself when thinking, would they like it? Because I think if I'm happy, then I will always be a harsher critic than they would be. And it does makes me nervous sometimes when they're like, "Oh, I'm also a photographer." I'm like, "Eek!" It's like, "Oh, don't look too closely at my
Don't
photos."
judge.
It's like
Well,
I'll be
that's
found out.
yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. Gunny and I don't I'm usually not hard on myself either till a recent like situation in the past year. And I'm like, do I need to be harder on myself? Like
Oh,
and
mm-hmm.
so so it's just I don't know, it's just kind of figuring out how to stay creative and coming at it, but I think for the most part, 9 out of 10 times, like, clients are coming to because they like your work and they value your creativity and they enjoy your creativity and your eye, and so 9.9 out of 10 times someone's hiring you because of that, so I think that that's a good thing too. But
Yeah.
I love that. What's kind of like one final piece of advice that you would give for approaching details on a day?
Well, if you are feeling like you need to be creative, look at the reference shots, screenshot some fashion magazines, photography books, I do love perfume ads and the beauty ads because often, especially for portraits as well. I know we're not talking about that, but
Yeah.
how they put some faces like really close together and just
Yes.
line it up differently to how you ever would think. Having
Yeah.
those references is really good. And I think even just having the mindset that, going back to even like what the question before about how to stay creative and hope that couples are fine with what we capture. I think the amazing thing is that they are hiring you for you. And so whatever you do, like we have artists licensed there. There's not another wedding photographer next to us that they can compare the photos. Like, oh, I preferred her details photos than Lele's details photos. I'm not happy with Lele's things. So that's a really good, for me, it was like a really good way to be like, well, someone else might have got a better shot, but I was the one who was hired and they've hired me for my creative eye. So I'm going to do the very best I can. And yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
It's um, details. One tip, it's probably allowing the time to get creative. I think that can really, if you are rushed, you're obviously going to be less creative because you're just trying to tick it off. If
Mhm.
you allow yourself the time, and that's why with styling, especially for like a reception shot, when you could just shoot, well, I start wide, and this is with details for the getting ready as well. Start wide and then just make my way in, and then also go behind, have things in the forefront as well as like in the frame. So like going behind a piece of branch that might be coming out, so you can look through
Sure.
something else
Yeah.
that offer interest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just different perspectives, but different
Mm.
angles and
Mm-hmm.
taking things and thinking how you can view it in a different eye and area. I think, yeah, getting out of your own comfort creativity zone kind of sometimes helps too. So I
Yes.
agree with you. Like the more time you have, I think it's like better. And even if you want to like set up your own little mock style, on not on a wedding day and just try to play around with things and see what you think looks good and you like and then tie in those personal elements on a day, I think are awesome. But
Definitely.
I
That's where
I
like,
think
yeah, like
um,
styled shoots, that's where you can really play and bring
yeah,
in all the elements that you love
yes,
and get the shoes and get the dress and have a play with, yeah, normally you might not do that at a wedding day, but if you
yeah,
trial it at the styled shoot, your own set up shoot, you have the time, you have the creativity, and you can figure out, do I like that? Would I replicate that on a wedding day? Or no, this is a bit more just for me, or that didn't work. So
yes,
yeah.
yes. Oh, I love that. Well, thank you so much, Lele. I love this. It's just such a fun, little refreshing episode to remember like the creativity and just different approaches, and it's all amazing. So, why don't you tell us where we can find you?
So you can find me on Instagram at Lele Clavey. You can also find me, my website's leleclavey.com. I also have an education platform, Lele Clavey Education on Instagram, and then leleclavyeducation.com on website. I also have a podcast, which I would love to have you on, Rachel. It's
Yes,
called
I would love to.
It's called Life and Lens, and I'm on Pinterest, Facebook, all the things.
All the things. Well, we'll make sure to link them down below so people can find you. But thank you so much for coming on, Layla. It was such a fun conversation.
Oh, you're so welcome, Rachel. Thank you for having me.
All right, there you have it. I really hope you loved this episode. I love the way that Lele thinks and that she approaches everything. And I'm hoping that you're leaving this episode feeling inspired as well. And if you loved this episode as much as I did, make sure to screenshot it and share it to your stories and tag me at Rachel Traxler so that I can see which episodes you're loving the most and also share the love in return. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I appreciate you so much. Keep shining, and we'll see you next time.